Hello, everyone. We are live today. Hello, today is Histrionic Personality Disorder. Histrionic Personality Disorder. Day number 6. Histrionic Personality Disorder. Hello, Facebook. Hello, YouTube. Histrionic Personality Disorder. That's what we are talking about today. If you have any questions about all the past uh, conversations that we've had, feel free to let us know so that we can respond to your questions. All right? Histrionic personality disorder. That is what we're looking at today. We've talked about personality disorder. We've talked with different personality disorders in this cluster B, and we've had a lot of responses from people. Let's get Facebook together here. Yes. All right. You can see me, I can see you. For those of you in Facebook who have complained that you haven't seen the live, hopefully you can see it now. Histrionic personality disorder. Welcome, everyone. Histrionic personality disorder. That's what we are talking about today. Histrionic personality disorder. Histrionic personality disorder. Now, we've talked about antisocial personality in cluster B. Yesterday we talked about the borderline personality. So the antisocial is the one who lacks empathy. The antisocial is the one who just doesn't get it in terms of feelings. It's not that they want to be mean. It's not that they want to be disconnected. They just have not learned that empathy is a part of life. So there's no connectivity. There's no connection. They're pretty much detached. And then you have, yesterday we looked at the borderline personality who seems to come with all of the emotionality. They are intense. They want to love. They will love bomb you and then they will withdraw from you. It's not because it's what they want to do. They're not being mean. It just means that they feel so overwhelmed a lot of the times that they are fearful that you're going to hurt them. They're fearful that they're not safe, and so they will withdraw. Today, we want to take a look at the histrionic personality disorder. Now, this is the life of the party. This is the person who walks into the room and takes up space. That is that personality who seems to fill the entire room. They are the oxygen in the room, histrionic. They speak with energy. They move with energy. They are filled with life. They draw attention everywhere they go. They don't understand being apart. Their energy comes from all that is around them. So welcome to day 6 of our cluster. This is our cluster B, and this we're looking at the passion cluster, the intense cluster, the energetic cluster, and the cluster that is so often mislabeled. So step into the room with me. Remember yesterday when we talked about the borderline, we stepped into this room and this room is furnished, this room is rocking, but the floor is all cracked. But you didn't know when you stepped into the room that the floor will be cracked. That's what it feels like for borderline. But for the histrionic, they step into the room and the spotlight is on them. They step into that room and they take over. There's nothing, the spotlight is never turned off. The spotlight is never turned off for the histrionic. This is what histrionic personality disorder looks like. You're always in the spotlight. So just picture a room where there is there's this person who is the center of gravity, this person who is there where, you know, everybody flows around them. It looks as if there's no darkness. It looks as if everything is all about them. What is that about? What is that about? When the light shines on the histrionic personality, when the light shines on them, they feel safe. They feel safe. When the light dims, they start panicking. They worry when things dim. They worry when people are not talking to them. They worry that they will be forgotten. They worry that the only reason that people notice them is because the spotlight is on them. So they will constantly crave that. That is what they gravitate towards, because when it's quiet, when the light is dim, they will think that people will no longer notice them. Though the spotlight for them is about performance. They are constantly performing. The spotlight, because that's how they perceive love. That if I don't perform, if I don't take the spotlight, nobody is going to notice me, nobody's going to want me. So they come up very strong. They come up with all this energy and expression, and they feel that attention is needed, is necessary for them to survive. The attention is necessary for them to be loved. That attention is necessary for them to feel a sense of a place in this world. So when they speak in a way that pulls people in. You know, they speak in a way that pulls people in, and they feel emotions through their bodies. They feel emotions through their body. They create connections everywhere they go. And their connection is intense. It's with color. It's with intensity. They want to be seen. Because if for some reason the light dims, then they feel that they're nobody, you know. So there's a strong desire for the histrionic personality. There's this strong desire to be seen. There's this strong desire to be noticed. And they feel very uncomfortable when their attention is very low. They feel very disconnected when there's no audience. So they're constantly creating audience. They're very expressive. They're very dramatic in their communication style. They always seek attention, right? And they are never alone, but they want reassurance. They want you to constantly reassure them. Did I do well? Is this okay? You know, things like that. And there's difficulty they have this difficulty in being valued because without them performing, you know, they need to be doing something to earn your love. They need to be doing something in order to have some value. Everything is very external for them. So if I am not performing, then you are not going to love me. If I am not my best, then you are not going to see me. If I am not drawing attention, everyone is going to forget me. Imagine that. That's a very tiring life, don't you think? That could be very draining. If you live your life constantly flirting with the performance, flirting with the theatrics, when you are, you know, constantly in the spotlight, constantly in the flame, the purpose is not to manipulate you. It's just what they've learned. They feel that their emotional stability is through connecting with with the performing. That's what they've learned. So imagine I'd like to tell this story. So imagine Jade, you know, Jade enters a party, a gathering, and, you know, and starts just telling stories, and she's creating these vivid images and gestures, and each time the stories get bigger and bigger. And when the people respond, she feels alive. She feels like, yes, I have their attention. But when they're quiet, she feels, oh my God, what do I need to do to get their attention now? So then she's going to change the topic, and she'll do something more dramatic, just so you can notice, just so she can get attention. And if you have a friend like this, this friend is constantly wants reassurance after an argument. For example, if there's a disagreement, if there's something, a few minutes later, they're going to send you a message, and they're going to say, is everything okay? They constantly want to make sure that they're okay with you. If you're quiet and you don't respond to them immediately, they will feel so anxious. They feel so anxious. They feel like they've been forgotten. They feel like they're no longer being seen. Histrionic personality disorder. They are big, they are lively, but they are so emotionally unstable. Or let's even say emotionally fragile. Right? So think of, maybe you work with this person. So think of, I don't know, Ade, is at work. Ade is very charming. Will compliment everybody. He makes grand entrances. It gets praised for his work. It feels elated when people are saying you're good, everything is okay. But if somebody says something that is not positive, he's going to be crushed. It feels like his world is crumbling. It feels like, I'm no longer going to be seen. It is no longer safe. So then it's going to do something else to get more attention. So the core need is not just attention seeking. The core need is connection. Think about that. So the core need, so if you're with somebody who is histrionic, or if that's you, I want you to know that your core need is not that you just want to get attention. Your core need is that you need connection. And that's what I'm hoping this personality disorder conversations actually help, explain that we need to understand the need of these disorders. Because a lot of the times people think, oh, they're just attention seekers. Oh, they just, too emotional and too this. But when you understand somebody's core need, maybe you can understand the person you're living with. Maybe you can understand yourself better. The core need for histrionic is, I need to connect. I need to connect. But when I'm getting attention, that attention quiets that inner fear. It quiets that insecurity when I am getting attention. So histrionic patterns, usually, because I said this in every single episode, when does it begin? When does it begin? And a lot of you would know that it usually begins in childhood. So you see homes where appearances and charms and performances are rewarded, where you have to be perfect, where there are no emotional depth. You need to be the best in this, and you need to be the best in that. The home is spotless, this is that. Everything is about performance. When you grow up in an environment like that has no emotional depth, it has no emotional currency. When your caregiver only responds to you when you have done well, when your caregiver only shows you affection when things are perfect, then you are going to base love on performance. You're going to base acceptance on performance. You are going to think that emotions are only taken seriously when things are amplified, when you are performing. So early on, as the child, you are going to believe that there is no one is going to accept me. No one is going to connect with me unless I am perfect. No one is going to notice me unless I am in the spotlight. And not being in the spotlight means that I am not safe. So they are only safe when things are around them, when things are moving around them, when they are in the eye of that storm. That is your histrionic personality disorder. Histrionic personality disorder carries many labels in society. So I like to look at myths, and let's try to get some facts here. All right. So one of the myths is they are dramatic. I mean, and it's easy to say that, especially if you live with somebody like that, or if you're friends with someone like that. You said they're so dramatic, right? But understand that this is how they've learned to survive. All they're seeking is connection. All that they're seeking is connection. It's not that they're trying to be dramatic, it's that they're trying to survive. They're trying to survive. And this is important for us to know. Myth number 2, they're flirtatious because they want attention. They're flirtatious because they want attention. See, look, their style can appear very flirtatious. They might always like they can walk the room. They can work the room pretty well, and so that they're what they're wanting is approval. What they're wanting is to feel valued. What they're wanting is to feel accepted. So if we understand that, then maybe we can start breaking down some walls and begin to understand and accept those in our lives who don't appear to be, like us or like you. You understand? And why should everybody be the same anyway? Now, myth number 3, they exaggerate everything. So if you're dating somebody like that, or you just feel like you're that person yourself, it looks as if everything is exaggerated. Everything is so big. Emotions usually feel very large in their body. If emotions feel like overwhelming, they express what they feel. They're expressing their experiences. That is how the histrionic personality disorder person lives in this world. Myth number 4, they do not take relationships seriously. They do not take relationships seriously. That is not true. They care deeply, but they struggle with the dyad. They struggle with the one-on-one. They struggle with the fear of fading out of people's minds. So it's not that they're not taking relationships seriously. It's like they don't think that they can do well when only one person seeing them, or if your attention is someplace else. So it's almost like you have to focus on them 24/7 for them to feel okay. Myth number 5 for histrionic. They cannot change. And you hear this about a lot of personality disorders. They cannot change. But look, people do change. People do manage this. So with grounding, with a lot of self-reflection, with if you do therapy in stable emotional spaces or stable emotional relationships, things can begin to change for this personality. Things can begin to change. When we're talking about histrionic personality disorder, we were talking about lives in spaces where they are trying to balance expressions and fear. All right. how am I going to express myself so I can see me? But the fear of not being seen and the fear of not being accepted. So their emotions can rise very fast, just like the borderline. The emotion can rise very quickly, but they're always longing and looking for reassurance. They're looking for someone to support them. They're looking for someone to tell them that it's going to be okay. But once you stop paying attention to them, they feel very uncomfortable. They feel like a lost child, really. It doesn't matter how old you are. They feel like a lost child. They feel a very deep sense of loss when they're being overlooked. A very deep sense of not being seen when they're overlooked. And they will shift to getting more attention so that they don't have that feeling anymore. So when they feel seen, like I was saying, they feel safe. But when they feel unseen, everything is unstable in their lives. Everything becomes very unstable. Their emotional world has been jeopardized. Their emotional world will respond only to the calmness of attention, to being, the center of it. That's what they're going to respond to, because that's how they've been programmed. Remember, neurons that fire together will wire together. So back in your caregiving days, back in your developmental days, when you've been programmed in this way, that's what happens. Histrionic will form attachments very quickly. They will form it very quickly. They don't mind emotional closeness, but they fear the distance. They fear the distance. So they usually don't have anything in between. They will also sabotage those relationships once they feel like they're not being seen anymore. Their self-image is very important to them. They usually will shape themselves to match the energy in the room. So that means you might not know who you're looking at from one point to the other. Their identity can shift from place to place, from people to people, from moment to moment. They become who they think people want them to be. Their self-image is very unpredictable. For work, they excel in roles that involve people. They're people persons. They excel in presentations. They excel in creativity, but they struggle if they have to do anything that is independent, like by themselves, like alone. They don't like that. Doesn't work for them. So it's the emptiness in them that spurs them on to the spotlight. Because for the histrionic, silence feels very heavy. So the histrionic person can find themselves in the movies, in anything that's creative, anything that has to do with performing, anything that has to do with being the center of attention. They will gravitate to those. But inside, they feel scared. They feel like if they don't do all those things, nobody's going to love them. But healing is possible. Healing is possible. So when we're talking healing, we want to focus on grounding. We want to focus on self-worth. We want to focus on clarity. We want to be able to build awareness of emotional triggers. What are those things that trigger? We want to talk about those. There's different therapists that work with this, and then acceptance, understanding that, understanding who you are. There's no problem in being expressive. There's no problem in being in the spotlight. The challenge for you is if your emotional dependence is on the spotlight, then you will never get enough. You're constantly going to be unsure. You're constantly not going to feel safe, because how many times can you be in the spotlight? There are moments when people are not going to see you. There are moments when you're going to be by yourself. There are moments when people are not going to pay attention to you. So what do you do then? You see what I'm saying? So we need to build this another type of mindset that says, I am okay even when I'm not in the spotlight. That I am okay even if people are not going to accept me. I am okay even when people are not paying attention to me. We do have this healing circle coming up that we're inviting people to. This healing circle workshop where we are going to talk about the different ways of being if you're in this personality types, any one of the ones that we've looked at. So if it speaks to you or someone you care about, join our healing circle at the end of the 10-day blitz of this personality disorder. Today's day number 6. At the end of it, we're going to have this healing circle. So make sure you DM or just write join healing so that we can send you the link. Join healing. So thus far, we have looked at cluster A. We have taken a look, and now we're in cluster B. Cluster B, we did the antisocial personality type. Antisocial person lacks empathy. They are about power. We looked at the borderline yesterday, and the borderline is pretty much cracked. One day they're loving you, and the next day they feel very unsafe, and they're just overwhelmed, and they will withdraw. Histrionic believes that the center of the sun is where they need to be so that they can get the love and attention that they need. In all of this personality disorder types, the common thread is usually early childhood disruptions. Something has happened. Some attachments breach. Something has happened. Sometimes you're not growing up thinking, oh, I'm going to traumatize this child, or I'm going to, no, that's not usually it. So look at this histrionic, for example. When you grow up with parents who feel everything has to be perfect, you grow up with parents who feel like who don't pay attention to you unless you have given them perfection, then that's who you end up becoming, the histrionic type. Join us in our healing venture. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, we're going to talk about the narcissist. Narcissist is what we're talking about tomorrow. Join me at the same time. Have a good one. Bye. All right. End session. Thank you very much. And for those of you watching us from Facebook, we'll see you next time. Bye-bye.